The utility worker stared at the side of my house, then at the side of my neighbor's house, then at the tangle of cable running between them like a drunk spider's web. "Just to confirm," he said slowly, "you did not authorize anyone to connect their service panel directly to your solar inverter." From across the cul-de-sac, Beverly Cranston, president of the Oakview Bluffs HOA, visor on, clipboard in hand, started power walking toward us. "That's community infrastructure," she barked. "You can't just cut that." The association approved the shared grid. The utility worker frowned. "Lady, this is theft of service." I folded my arms, enjoying the morning show. "I'd like it disconnected," I said. "Whatever it takes." He shrugged. "No problem." He opened his toolkit and got to work. 3 hours later, Beverly's power went out mid-load of laundry. Her air conditioning died in the middle of a heat wave, and her smart doorbell started screaming low battery warnings. The best part? She just finished bragging about how my illegal solar panels were going to be ripped off my roof. And now her electric bill was about to triple. I'm Marcus Hale, 37, IT consultant, introvert, and reluctant participant in suburban theater. Oakview Bluffs looked harmless enough when I bought the house. Cul-de-sacs, manicured lawns, and a giant stone sign at the entrance that screams we strictly enforce conformity but politely. I work from home, keep my yard tidy, and my idea of a wild night is ordering 2 entrees and not telling anyone. The only thing edgy about me is that I like saving money on utilities. So when my tax refund hit, I installed rooftop solar. Not some janky DIY setup from a guy on Facebook Marketplace, an actual licensed installer, permits, inspections, the whole 9 yards. The day after the panels went up, Beverly appeared in my driveway like she'd been summoned by the reflection off the glass. Early 60s, hair shellacked into place, polo shirt with Oakview Bluffs HOA President embroidered over the heart like it's a military rank. She clutched her clipboard like a Bible. "Marcus," she said. She didn't say hello. "What is that?" "Solar panels," I said. "Sun-powered magic rectangles. Pretty neat." She didn't laugh. "Those are not on the approved modifications list." "Pretty sure the city approved them," I said. "Got the permit right here." She sniffed. "City permits are irrelevant. The HOA has aesthetic standards. This is a traditional neighborhood." I glanced at the 8 different house colors and the guy with a 10-foot inflatable flamingo by his pool. "Right," I said. "Very traditional." She narrowed her eyes. "This will be addressed." The violation notices started in under 48 hours. First one. Infraction notice, Class B. Violation, unauthorized roof equipment. Description, solar panels installed without HOA design review approval. Remedy, remove panels within 14 days or face escalating fines. I emailed her. Panels were permitted by the city and passed inspection. Beverly. The HOA has stricter standards than the government. That's not how laws work. Beverly. Our CC&Rs predate your green energy fad. You're in violation. I actually read the CC&Rs. The closest thing was a rule about satellite dishes not facing the street. Nothing about solar. I pointed that out. She responded with a PDF titled Solar Guidelines, Addendum A. It looked like it had been created in Microsoft Word by someone who had just learned what a text box was. No signatures. No filing date. No record of board approval. Addendum A. No panels visible from street. No panels visible from neighboring yards. No panels that alter the historical aesthetic of the community. The neighborhood was built in 2011. I ignored it. So she escalated. She started wandering past my house with her phone pointed upward, taking photos of my roof like it had personally insulted her. She accidentally knocked on my door 3 times a week. "Have you reconsidered your non-compliant installation? We've received complaints about glare affecting driver's vision. My husband got a sunburn. We believe your roof is intensifying UV exposure." I shut the door in her face. 3 days later, I got a certified letter. Formal HOA action, removal order. Failure to remove solar panels will result in daily fines of $250 and possible legal action for noncompliance. This time I wrote back, "Please provide the recorded, board-approved, and legally filed policy authorizing this action. Also see your attorney." She didn't. Instead, she called the city and reported my system as unpermitted and dangerous. The inspector showed up, looked at the paperwork, took one glance at Beverly ranting at the curb, and muttered, "Oh, it's her again." He gave me a thumbs up. "Everything's fine. She doesn't speak for us." The next week, I got an email from the HOA with the subject line urgent: homeowner tampering with community power grid. Apparently, Beverly had decided my grid-tied solar system was feeding unstable power into the neighborhood and endangering the lives of residents with electrical surges. She CC'd the whole dang subdivision. By that point, I figured she had peaked. She had not. The turning point came from something that should have been minor, a weirdly low power bill. My first full month with solar, I expected it to drop, sure. Instead, it was nearly zero. Like, did they forget to charge me? Zero. Then it happened again. Month 2, same thing. I'm not reckless. I called the utility company. "Hey, I think there's a billing error," I said. "I have solar, but these credits seem too high." The rep pulled up my account. I heard him stop typing. How with that tone is never simple. He put me on hold. 5 minutes later, he was back on the line with a different energy. "Mr. Hale, we're going to send a field tech out to inspect your meter and interconnection. Are you available Thursday?" That Thursday turned into the scene from the cold open. Utility truck, me in the driveway, Beverly hovering like a vulture in a golf visor. The tech checked my meter, checked the inverter, then walked around to the side of my neighbor's house, Beverly's place. And there it was. A fat, gray cable running from my meter to a junction box on her wall. "Wait," I said. "What is that?" The tech squinted. "This is not ours." He followed the line, then opened her panel. He whistled. "She's tied into your generation. Not just offsetting your use, she's literally pulling power through your meter." I blinked. "So she's been using my solar? And getting the benefit on your bill?" He looked impressed. "This is insanely illegal, just so you know." I didn't do anything right away. I just watched. Utility guy documented everything with photos. Called his supervisor. They called the fraud department. Someone mentioned theft of service and tampering with a regulated meter, which seemed like big adult criminal phrases. Meanwhile, Beverly marched over, already mid-sentence. "Whatever he's telling you is incorrect. The HOA approved a community energy sharing initiative. It was in the minutes." The tech raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, did you hire a licensed electrician for this connection?" She hesitated half a second too long. "The board authorized me," she said. "As president, I." "Did you hire a licensed electrician?" He repeated. She tightened her grip on her clipboard. "My cousin is very handy." The tech pulled out a tagged lockout device. "Yeah," he said. "That's going off now." He clipped the line, capped it, labeled everything, and radioed in. That wasn't just the turning point. That was the moment Beverly's I make the rules fantasy collided head-on with the actual law. Once the utility company involved their fraud department, things escalated in a way even I couldn't have scripted. First, they cut the unauthorized connection. Then they did a full audit. Turned out, my system had been feeding far more energy than my house used because I wasn't just powering myself. I'd been powering Beverly's refrigerator, AC, dryer, and her shrine of always-on scented diffusers. The kicker? Because of how net metering works, the excess she used never counted as sold back, so I wasn't getting credited for it. The system thought I was consuming it. Translation. She'd been quietly running her life off my roof while simultaneously filing complaints to have my illegal panels removed. The fraud investigator loved that part. They sent me a report and asked if I wanted to press charges. Meanwhile, the HOA found out through the fastest channel known to man, angry group chat. The board called an emergency meeting. I attended, calm, folder in hand. Beverly attended, visibly rattled, folder in a death grip. The room was split, half people who feared Beverly, half people who hated her but didn't want the drama. The treasurer went first. "Beverly," he said, "did you authorize any community energy sharing program?" "Of course," she said. "We discussed it in the Sustainability Subcommittee." "There is no Sustainability Subcommittee," he replied. Silence. The secretary slid a printed email onto the table. "This is a message you sent claiming Marcus's panels were illegal, dangerous, and destabilizing the grid. Meanwhile, you had an unauthorized connection siphoning power from his system." Beverly tried to talk over her. "We needed transitional support while rates are increasing. It was community resource management. It was theft," I cut in. "From me." For the first time, more heads nodded with me than with her. Then the utility rep, who was invited for clarification, decided to speak. "We've documented tampering with a utility meter, unauthorized wiring, and theft of service," he said. "We've also logged multiple false reports about Mr. Hale's system being unsafe. The state regulator has been notified." That put the fear of God, and the Public Utilities Commission, into the room. Beverly opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time since I moved in, she had no script. The fallout was swift and gloriously bureaucratic. The utility company hit Beverly with back-billed electrical usage at the highest penalty rate, a fraud surcharge, and a notice that future tampering could result in criminal charges. Her modest monthly bill suddenly ballooned into a multi-thousand-dollar slap in the face and a stern letter. Meanwhile, the HOA's attorney, yes, they finally called him instead of just waving around his name like a spell, sent a memo that could have doubled as a horror story for power-tripping board members. Key points. The HOA has zero authority to regulate state-approved solar installations beyond basic aesthetic review. Any fabricated addendums not properly adopted and recorded are legally meaningless. Using HOA title and letterhead to harass a homeowner and interfere with a lawful utility installation exposes the association to liability. Tampering with utility infrastructure? Entirely on the individual. The HOA would not be covering a dime. Then the board turned on her. They read out the list of her actions while she sat there, face pale, lips pressed so tight I thought they'd disappear. Falsely reporting my panels as unsafe. Circulating made-up rules. Saying the neighborhood on slanderous emails. Illegally connecting her home to my system. Attempting to fine me for not removing panels the city approved. They voted, on the record, to remove her as HOA President, ban her from serving on any HOA committee for a minimum of 10 years, issue a formal apology to me, drafted by the HOA attorney, to be delivered to the entire neighborhood, and cover my attorney consultation fees and any costs related to her interference. The room went silent. Then they asked if I wanted to speak. I walked up, looked right at her, and said, "I don't want your job. I don't want drama. I just want to enjoy my house, my solar, and my peace. I didn't complain when you hated my panels. I complained when you stole from me. There's a difference." For once, she didn't fire back. She just looked small. The final humiliation came a week later, when the first post-scandal bill hit. I was outside watering my plants when I heard the scream from across the cul-de-sac. A few minutes later, her husband walked out with a piece of paper in his hand, dazed. "Hey, Marcus," he called. "Quick question. Did your bill go down again this month?" "Yeah," I said. "Panels are great." He held up theirs. The number was visible from my driveway. It started with a 7 and had 3 more digits after it. "Careful," I said. "The HOA might call that an emergency energy situation." He didn't laugh. She did, however, stop parking in front of my house to check the glare. Life in Oakview Bluffs calmed down a lot after that. The HOA quietly updated the official CC&Rs the right way, with actual votes and recorded minutes. They added a simple solar policy. Panels are allowed as long as they're installed with permits and meet safety codes. The HOA may request reasonable aesthetic adjustments. No board member may, under any circumstances, connect their house to someone else's system, community initiative or not. Beverly's name disappeared from the HOA emails. The new president, a tired-looking guy named Paul who just wanted to keep the pool open and avoid lawsuits, adopted a new slogan. If the state approves it and it doesn't fall over or explode, we're probably fine with it. Beverly didn't go to jail or anything dramatic like that, but her punishment was its own kind of poetic. She's now on a strict payment plan with the utility company, with a note on her account that flags her for any future irregularities. Her once smug routine of lecturing everyone about fiscal responsibility vanished when people found out she'd basically tried to pirate sunlight. The board voted that any future attempt by her to enforce unapproved rules would be grounds for a community harassment complaint. Her power bill? Let's just say it no longer floats on a hidden line to my house. Summers in Oakview Bluffs are hot. A CS hum. People cook, do laundry, charge their e-versus. Beverly used to brag about how we're all in this together when it came to rising rates. Now she very much is in it alone. I still see her sometimes, standing in her driveway at sunset, glaring at my panels like they're personally insulting her every time they reflect the light. I wave. She doesn't wave back. The neighborhood, however, has learned an important lesson. If your HOA Karen starts calling something illegal just because she doesn't control it, check the actual law, the actual utility company, and the actual direction the power is flowing. Because sometimes, the loudest person screaming about unapproved energy use is the one quietly plugged into your life and your meter. And in the end, the only line I really cut was the one where she thought my roof existed to subsidize her empire.